My parents drained my $300,000 trust fund to pay for my brother's divorce, so I started over with nothing and now I'm richer than all of them. Show your support by hitting subscribe, commenting hi, and sharing where you're watching from. I was 23 when I found out my entire life had been a lie. Not the dramatic kind you see in movies, the quiet, calculated kind that happens behind closed doors while you're trusting the people who raised you. I'm Claudio, and this is how my family destroyed me and how I rebuilt myself into someone they could never touch again. It started on a Tuesday morning in March 2019. I was sitting in my cramped studio apartment in Atlanta, coffee getting cold, when I opened my laptop to check my trust fund balance. My grandmother, may she rest in peace, had left me $300,000 when she passed. The agreement was simple: I'd get access at 25, but I could check the balance anytime. I checked it every few months, watching it grow with interest, dreaming about the business I'd start. The page loaded. My heart stopped. Balance, $847.32. I refreshed. Same number. My hands started shaking so badly I nearly dropped my phone as I dialed the bank's customer service line. There must be a mistake, I told the representative, my voice cracking. She put me on hold. Those 3 minutes felt like hours. When she came back, her tone had changed, professional sympathy mixed with something else. Pity, maybe. Mr. Baldwin, I'm showing multiple withdrawals over the past 18 months. All authorized by the account trustees. Trustees. My mouth went dry. My parents. I can't discuss specifics, but yes, the withdrawals were all legitimate according to our records. I drove to my parents' house in Buckhead that same evening, breaking every speed limit. My hands were still trembling on the steering wheel. The rage building inside me felt volcanic, ready to erupt. But I forced myself to stay calm. I needed answers, not a screaming match. Not yet. Mom answered the door, her face lighting up like nothing was wrong. Claudio. What a surprise. We weren't expecting you until Sunday dinner. I pushed past her. Where's Dad? And Terence? My older brother's BMW was parked in the driveway, the new one, I noticed. Sleek, black, probably $60,000. In the study, Mom said, her smile fading. Honey, what's wrong? What's wrong? I almost laughed. The study smelled like leather and expensive cigars. Dad was at his desk, Terence sprawled on the couch with a bourbon. They both looked up when I entered, and I saw it immediately, the guilt in Terence's eyes, the defensive set of Dad's jaw. They knew why I was here. My trust fund, I said quietly. Where is it? Dad set down his pen with deliberate slowness. Claudio, sit down. Let's talk about this like adults. I am an adult. An adult who just discovered his $300,000 inheritance is gone. So talk. Terence shifted uncomfortably. Dad sighed like I was being unreasonable. Your brother was going through a difficult divorce. Shanice's lawyers were bleeding him dry, threatening to take everything, his house, his business, his reputation. We had to help him. Had to. I repeated, my voice rising despite myself. That was MY money. Grandma left it to ME. It was family money, Dad shot back. Your grandmother would have wanted us to help Terence. He's the oldest. He has responsibilities. The favoritism wasn't new, but hearing it spoken so plainly felt like a slap. Terence had always been the golden child, the one who got the better school, the business loan, the down payment for his first house. I'd accepted it, even. But this was theft. How much did you give him? I demanded. All of it. Terence finally spoke, not meeting my eyes. $260,000. The divorce settlement was $240, and the legal fees were brutal, man. I didn't want to, but, you didn't want to. I laughed bitterly. You could have said no. You could have filed for bankruptcy. You could have done literally anything except steal from your little brother. Watch your mouth, Dad warned. Nobody stole anything. We're the trustees. We made a financial decision for the good of this family. Mom appeared in the doorway, wringing her hands. Claudio, please understand. Terence was losing everything. His wife was trying to take his business, the custom furniture company he built from scratch. If we hadn't helped, she'd have taken it all. And what about what I built? I asked. I've been working 2 jobs, saving every penny, planning my future around that money. I was going to start my own tech consulting firm next year. Dad pulled out a folder from his desk drawer. He'd been ready for this confrontation. The trust agreement gives us discretionary power to use the funds for any family member's benefit until you turn 25. We acted within our legal rights. I grabbed the folder, scanning the documents. My grandmother's signature at the bottom, dated 15 years ago. The language was vague enough: family welfare and trustee discretion. They'd found a loophole and driven a truck through it. This is unbelievable, I whispered. You're justifying this with technicalities. We're explaining reality, Dad said coldly. Terence needed help. You're young, you have time to build your own wealth. He was facing financial ruin. So you ruined me instead. Don't be dramatic, Mom interjected. You're not ruined. You have your health, your education, your whole life ahead of you. Money isn't everything. The irony of wealthy people saying money isn't everything wasn't lost on me. When were you planning to tell me? I asked. Or were you just hoping I wouldn't notice until I turned 25 and it was too late to do anything? Terence finally stood up, setting his bourbon down with a heavy thud. Look, I appreciate what they did, all right? My business is saved. Shanice didn't take everything. Maybe when things stabilize, I can pay you back some of it. Some of it, I repeated flatly. How generous. Claudio, you're being selfish, Dad said, and those words, those exact words, broke something in me. My vision actually blurred with rage. I'd been the understanding one my whole life, the one who never complained when Terence got more, who worked his way through state college while they paid for Terence's private university, who took out loans while they co-signed for his business. And I was selfish? Get out, I said quietly. What? Mom looked genuinely shocked. Get out of my life. All of you. I looked at each of them in turn. I'm done. Done being the backup son. Done being the family ATM. Done pretending this is normal. You're overreacting, Terence said, but his voice wavered. Am I? You stole $300,000 from me. Stole. And you're all standing here justifying it like I'm the crazy one for being upset. I pulled out my phone and started recording. I want to hear you say it. On camera. Tell me exactly what you did with my inheritance. Dad's face turned purple. Put that away right now. No. You want to hide behind legality? Fine. Let's make sure everything's documented. Tell me again how you took my grandmother's money. The grandmother who specifically left it to me, and gave it to your favorite son for his divorce. Claudio, Mom pleaded, tears starting. Don't do this. We're family. Family doesn't do this, I said, and I meant every word with a clarity that felt almost transcendent. Family doesn't steal from each other and then gaslight the victim. You're not my family anymore. You're thieves who share my DNA. I turned to Terence specifically. And you, I looked up to you my whole life. You were my hero growing up. Now you're just a coward who let his parents rob his little brother to save himself. I hope that furniture business was worth it, because you'll never see me again. Claudio, wait, he started, but I was already walking out. Mom followed me to the front door, grabbing my arm. Please, sweetheart, let's talk about this tomorrow when everyone's calmer. You can't mean this. I gently removed her hand. I mean every word. Don't call me. Don't text. Don't show up at my apartment. I'm going to rebuild my life, and none of you will be in it. Dad appeared behind her, his face hard. You walk out that door, you're on your own. Completely. No safety net. I smiled without humor. I've been on my own this whole time, apparently. I just didn't realize it. I drove back to my apartment in a daze, the reality crashing over me in waves. $847. That's what I had left from my inheritance. I had about $3,000 in my checking account, another $2,000 in savings. My car was paid off, a 10-year-old Honda I'd bought used. I called in sick to both my jobs the next day, something I never did, and sat in my apartment, staring at the walls. The grief was physical, a weight pressing on my chest. I'd lost my family and my future in one night. But by evening, the grief began transforming into something else. Determination. Rage-fueled, crystal-clear determination. I opened my laptop and started planning. If my family thought I'd crumble without them, they were about to learn differently. I made a list, my skills, my assets, my options. I had a degree in computer science from Georgia State. I had 4 years of experience doing IT consulting on the side. I had clients who told me they'd hire me full-time if I ever went independent. Most importantly, I had nothing left to lose. That freedom, paradoxically, was liberating. Over the next week, I worked like a man possessed. I reached out to every professional contact I'd ever made. I updated my LinkedIn profile, created a basic website, registered an LLC. Baldwin Tech Solutions was born in my studio apartment with $500 and a fury that could power a city. My first client was Mr. Galloway, who owned a chain of dry cleaners. I'd fixed his point-of-sale system 6 months earlier. I need someone to set up cloud storage and upgrade all my computers, he said. Can you do it for $4,000? I quoted him $3,000 to undercut any competition and had the contract signed by end of day. 3 months later, I had 12 regular clients and had quit both my other jobs. 6 months after that, I hired my first employee, Deshaun, a brilliant young developer I'd met at a tech meetup who was hungry like I was. We worked 18-hour days, living on ramen and ambition, building something real. By the end of 2019, Baldwin Tech Solutions had 23 clients and revenue of $140,000. Not enough to pay myself much, most went back into the business, but enough to prove I could do this. I moved into a better apartment in Midtown. Nothing fancy, but mine. Earned. The silence from my family was deafening. I'd blocked their numbers after Mom tried calling 37 times in the first week. I heard through mutual friends that they were telling people I'd overreacted and would come around eventually. That made me work harder. Then came the break that changed everything. A friend from college, now working at Coca-Cola, recommended me for a major IT infrastructure project. The contract was worth $200,000, more than my entire previous year's revenue. I stayed up for 3 nights straight writing the proposal. We won the bid. At the celebration dinner with my team, now 6 people, I raised my glass. To everyone who counted us out. We're just getting started. It was December 2020, nearly 2 years after the confrontation, when I ran into Terence at Lenox Square Mall. I was shopping for gifts for my team, Christmas bonuses, something I was proud to be able to give. He was coming out of the Apple store with bags of shopping, looking older and tired. We locked eyes. He froze. For a moment, I considered just walking away. But curiosity won. "Claudio," he said, approaching cautiously. "Hey, man. How have you been?" "Good," I said simply. Up close, I could see the stress on his face, new lines, grey hairs. "You?" "All right. It's going okay." He shifted the bags. "Look, I've wanted to reach out. Mom and Dad made me promise not to, said you needed space, but I think about what happened all the time." "Do you?" I kept my voice neutral, watching him. He nodded, looking down. I was desperate, and I let them convince me it was okay. I told myself I'd pay you back, but then COVID hit and business got rough and... He trailed off. "I'm sorry. Truly. What we did was wrong." It was the first time anyone had said that. "How much have you paid back?" I asked, though I knew the answer. His silence confirmed it. $0. "The business really did almost go under during lockdown," he said defensively. "I'm barely keeping my head above water now." That's not my problem anymore, I said, but without heat. The rage had cooled over 2 years into something harder, more permanent. My company did $500,000 in revenue last year. We're on track for $900,000 this year. I rebuilt without your help or the trust fund. I don't need your apology or your money. His eyes widened. $500,000? Damn. Claudio. That's incredible. It is, I agreed. And I did it starting from $800 and a lot of anger. Turns out, betrayal is excellent motivation. He flinched. Mom and Dad ask about you sometimes. They miss you. Do they? Or do they miss having someone to feel superior to? I adjusted my shopping bags. Tell me something, Terence. Was the divorce really as bad as they said? Or were there other options you just didn't want to take? He hesitated too long. There were. I could have probably negotiated more. Shanice wanted the business because she knew I'd fight for it. If I'd offered more liquid assets, she might have settled for less overall. But I wanted to keep everything. There it was. The truth I'd suspected. So you weren't facing ruin. You were facing inconvenience and ego loss. It wasn't that simple. It never is it? I cut him off. Here's what you need to understand. I don't hate you anymore. Hate requires caring, and I simply don't. You're a stranger to me who shares some childhood memories. Terence looked like I'd punched him. Claudio, please. Can we grab coffee? Talk about this properly. Something in his desperation made me pause. Why? What's really going on? He glanced around the crowded mall, then leaned in closer. The business is failing. Not COVID stuff, my own mistakes. I expanded too fast, took on debt I shouldn't have. I'm 3 months behind on the commercial lease. The bank is threatening to call my loan. I waited, watching him. I need help, he said finally. A loan, maybe, or a partnership. You're doing so well, and I thought maybe you'd be willing to invest. As a business opportunity, not charity. I'd pay you back with interest. The audacity was breathtaking. You want me to give you more money? It's a good business. The fundamentals are solid, I just need capital to get through this rough patch. No. The word came out flat and final. But Claudio, you stole from me, never paid back a cent, and now you want me to voluntarily give you more. I shook my head, almost laughing. The answer is no. It will always be no. Sell the business, declare bankruptcy, ask Mom and Dad for help again. I don't care. But you'll never get another dollar from me. His face hardened. I knew you'd be like this. Petty and vindictive. Petty. Something in my chest tightened. I built a successful company from nothing while you squandered $300,000 of MY money. There's nothing petty about protecting what I've earned. That money saved my livelihood. And destroyed mine. Or it would have, if I'd let it. I stepped closer, voice low and intense. You want to know the difference between us, Terence? When I lost everything, I worked harder. When you're losing something, you look for someone else to pay for it. That's why I'll always come out on top. I turned to leave, then stopped. One more thing. If your business fails, don't come to me for a job. Don't come to me for references. Don't come to me at all. Whatever happens to you from here is the consequence of your own choices. Live with it like I had to live with yours. I left him standing there and didn't look back. That encounter, paradoxically, lifted a weight I didn't know I'd been carrying. I'd faced him, held my ground, and felt nothing but certainty. That night, I blocked him on every platform I'd previously left open. By 2022, Baldwin Tech Solutions had 15 full-time employees and had just signed a contract with Delta Airlines worth over $1 million. We moved into real office space in Atlantic Station, glass walls, standing desks, a kitchen stocked with actual food instead of just ramen. Today, in late 2025, my company generates $3 million annually. I own a condo in Midtown worth $400,000, paid in cash. I drive a Tesla Model S, not to flex, but because I genuinely love the technology. I have investments in 3 other startups. My net worth, at 28 years old, is roughly $1.2 million. 4 times what my trust fund would have been worth. I heard through the grapevine that Terrence's business went under in 2023. He's working sales at a furniture store now, ironically. Mom and Dad are disappointed I've held this grudge so long. They don't understand it's not a grudge, it's a boundary. Last week, I took my team to a rooftop bar to celebrate closing our biggest contract yet with Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. Deshaun raised his glass. To the best boss I've ever had. You gave me a shot when nobody else would. You earned it, I told him, meaning it. We all did. Looking out at the Atlanta skyline, I thought about my grandmother. I like to think she'd be proud, not of the money, but of who I became when everything was taken from me. I built an empire on the ashes of betrayal, and every success is sweeter because I did it alone. If you believe family should build you up, not tear you down, hit subscribe, only manipulators and thieves won't. Comment everyone deserves better, if you can't stand people like my parents who steal from their own kids. And if you think boundaries matter more than blood, smash that like button. Trust me, the people who won't are exactly like Terrence, always looking for someone else to pay their way.